Good evening, everyone. I'm very happy to welcome you on our last masterclass organized by International School Chess Federation. My name is Agapita Ravetisiana, and I will be your moderator for today's session called Chess Scholarships and Career Pathways. Today's topic is one that connects directly within, let's say, the dreams and future of many young players, how to combine chess, education, and career opportunities. Today, we are joined by International Grandmaster Varuzhan Akobian, head coach and scholarship coordinator at St. Louis University. He leads a diverse team of top players from different countries, all combining higher education with high-level competition. And this workshop will give us a clear understanding of how chess scholarships work, what universities look for, what terms and conditions exist, and how young players can successfully balance their chess career and education. So, Varuzhan, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. I'm very glad to be here for this opportunity to speak and tell you a little bit about our program. So, the St. Louis University, the chess team has been established since 2016, and we offer full scholarship to talented young players all over the world. So, we have many students right now, international, all over. We recruit players. And of course, to get the full scholarship to attend St. Louis University, for our men's team, you have to be a grandmaster and you have to have a rating around 2520 or higher. That will give you an opportunity to be considered to get the scholarship. We're also selective. It's not like if you have the rating and you're a grandmaster, we're immediately going to take you. We'll look at a lot of different aspects. When I'm interviewing players, I'm doing my research. I'm looking their activity, how much tournaments they play, what kind of players they are. So we do a lot of research before we extend the invitation for the scholarship. And it's a limited number of scholarships we have. We have about 10 total. So we usually give 6 for our A team, for the grandmasters, and then we have 4 for our women's team. So for the women's players to be considered, we have the criteria of being a woman grandmaster or woman international master and have a rating of at least 2300. So that's how we look at it. And again, we look at activity of the players, which tournaments they compete in, if they represent their country in Olympiads or some other events, that's a big plus. And then we extend the invitation. The full scholarship is offered usually for 4 years or 8. It's 8 semesters. So basically each year you have 2 semesters, and then you have a summer break between May 15th to the August 15th. So we have the fall semester, which starts at the end of August, and then we have the spring semester, which starts in January. Normally, people join the university in fall. That's the traditional way, but sometimes we had some grandmasters who couldn't do it, and then they started in a spring semester. Like, for example, this January, we had grandmaster from India, Aryan Chopra, over 2600. He joined our team. We had another grandmaster, Viktor Gazik from Slovakia. He joined our team for the master's program. So you have options to choose. Normally, you would start the university in August. Besides that, there is a process, of course, to be accepted. You have to take a test for your English proficiency. So you need to either take Duolingo, or there's some other options, but most people just take Duolingo. That's what we accept. And once you get your score, you submit your education, like background, that you graduated high school, and then admissions office will take a look at your application, and then they will make a decision. And St. Louis University also could give you a scholarship by itself. They're very generous, giving scholarships to the international students. And then whatever is left, the chess program will cover the cost. If you're qualified for the full scholarship, you will receive all your classes, tuition will be paid, your housing will be paid, you receive a health insurance, all your meals will be covered, traveling to tournaments, and also you will receive a monthly stipend to cover some other expenses that you have. So that's what the full scholarship will be offered. Besides that, you'll be eligible to compete all over the world, and your travel, all the costs associated with that will be covered. And being in St. Louis, it's a big plus because of the St. Louis Chess Club. You will be able to play in a lot of the tournaments just in St. Louis without even have to travel. We are located about 3-4 minute drive from the famous now St. Louis Chess Club. So that's about the scholarships for the team. And some of our biggest accomplishments here is we are the national champions. In 2022, we won the Pan American Continental Championship, which is basically our big tournament of the whole year. It's usually held in the beginning of January. And then the top 4 teams from the Pan American Intercollegiate Championship qualify to the President's Cup. It's called the Final Four. And the top 4 play, and if you win that, then you become a national champion. So we won that in 2022, both the Pan American and the President's Cup. Our women's team has been very dominant. We have a very strong women's team right now. We have currently WGM Gabriela Antova, Talia Cervantes, we have Sila Kaglar, women international master, and we have Diana Patel. So they've done really well, won in 2024, 2023 as well. And in 2023, we finished second in a President's Cup. We did quite well there as well. And then we have been very dominant in the Collegiate Chess League, which is an online tournament among universities organized by chess.com. We have won the championship about 6 times. And we are actually defending champions, and it's very competitive because they have universities all over the world, from India, all over US, and some other strong universities like Athens, and so we've done very well there as well. And we finished also 3rd place in this year's prestigious Kasparov Cup tournament online. It was very, very competitive. There were 111 universities, and we were there 3rd place as well. And we're going to try to do even better this year in that competition. So we're actively playing, and the students are competing all over the world. One of our students, Aryan Chopra, was competing in Uzbekistan, in Samarkand, for the Grand Swiss tournament. He had a very good performance there, gained some rating, and he did very well there as well. So we're also, again, still recruiting some other top players. So we expected to have another strong grandmaster possibly join us in January. And in this, basically the way it works is you always look for talented players, because people are going to graduate, and then there will be a spot. Even if you're full, you're looking into the future that people will be graduating, so they'll be leaving. Then you need a strong replacement. So I'm constantly looking for the young talented players, and communicating with them, interviewing them, and then to see who would be a good candidate for us. That's pretty much covers how the process works. And as far as training, if you join the university, you will be training quite a lot. You have a team trainings, and then you also have individual trainings with me, and also our assistant coach, Grandmaster Dario Schwirtz. So you'll have basically 2 coaches to work with, and you'll have the group trainings as well. And yeah, that's pretty much covers how the program works. And maybe we can start now with some questions, if you like. I also have a game that I want to present to you. This is a very important game. It's a game that we won the championship with. So I will be showing you this game between our Grandmaster Nicholas Theodorou against Benjamin Gladura. So I will show this at some point. And just to mention some of the big names that we had who graduated is Nicholas Theodorou from Greece, Benjamin Bach, Rabbi Kevlishvili, our assistant coach Dario Schwirtz, and Alexander Ipatov, and many others. These are the grandmasters who already graduated from St. Louis University. Some of them are still playing chess. Some of them went on to get a career. They got good jobs by just having a good education and good opportunities in US.
Thank you. So let's first ask the audience if they have questions, and if no, I will proceed with my questions. Does anyone from now have any questions? Okay, then I will proceed. I have a few questions. The one is, are there any like GPA or performance requirements to maintain the scholarship, like every semester, every year?
Yeah, there is a requirement to make sure you keep around 3.0 GPA. The highest is 4.0 in the U.S. educational system. So you try to maintain around 3.0 GPA, you will be fine. Again, you're given the scholarship based on your chess abilities. So we're not expecting the grandmasters or other students to just be top students as well. Some of them are. Some of them do very, very well. Like, for example, a good example is Nicholas Theodorou. As I mentioned, he was an excellent student. He was with us 6 years, actually. He did his undergrad and also he did the graduate program, and he maintained and also gained a lot of rating points. So I don't know how he did that, but he was one of our top students. So you have to maintain around 3.0 GPA, which it's not very difficult to do, I believe.
Thank you. And usually, even if you're not a player, like professional player, but okay, you're in university and you do have some hobby, or either you do some sports professionally, if a student struggles, whether academically or in chess, is there like any support system for them?
Yes. St. Louis University has a system. If you're really struggling with your classes, there are instructors you can meet. They can try to help you to catch up, to understand, because in the beginning, especially the first semester, is a little bit difficult because you're in a new country. English is not your first language. Everything is new. You need to understand how the system works. So usually the first semester is difficult, but I think they have a good system of helping the students to be able to feel more comfortable and understand. And usually after the first semesters, students have no problem adjusting. But the university offers help with the educational part. And of course, if anything is chess related, then I help, and also our assistant coach will help with that.
Thank you. And does the admission, the team, let's say, that chooses the candidates, are there any expectations from those students? Like, do they need to play in certain tournaments or leagues?
Yes, they are expected to play in about 4 tournaments a year, which will be suggested by me, the head coach. So one of the most important tournaments is that Pan American Championship. That's basically the collegiate US championship. So that's our big tournament, because every year we train very hard in December, and in January we play there, and we normally qualify to the finals. So that's our main tournament. They're expected to play there. There's to play in, let's say, Kasparov Cup tournament online, and also the chess.com collegiate championship as well. So they are expected to play about 4 tournaments requested by the coach.
Mm-hmm. And from your experience, what makes a candidate really stand out during the selection process?
Sometimes you don't know because you're just mostly communicating with the people. But now that I've been in this position for about 2.5 years, I have more experience. And again, we look at how much chess they play. We've had a lot of people try to come, and we could see that they're not really playing that much chess. They mostly just want to come just to get education, which will be free, but they're not really playing that many strong tournaments. They play few. So we'll look into people who are gonna add value to the team. They're gonna strengthen the team, and they're gonna be actively participating and also doing their schoolwork. So activity is the one key that we look for. I look at their FIDE history to see what tournaments they've played in, which players they played against. They played some really strong grandmasters, how they perform. So quite a bit of a research is done usually before we offer anyone a full scholarship, because it's basically a commitment from us, university, for 4 years that we're going to be taking care of all the costs. And it's also quite a big amount, because education in US is very expensive. So we're talking about really big scholarship, which will be basically taking care of everything. And sometimes when I'm talking to people who are not in chess and they hear that we give full scholarship, they're joking with me. They're saying that maybe they should have played chess when they were young, because at least they would get like this education covered.
And one, let's say, philosophical question.
Sure.
So you're watching how they play, how they get their degree, and how do they balance being, let's say, a full-time student while also competing in chess, let's say, at very, very high level?
Yes. So the way it works is, in the beginning, we suggest take a little bit less classes. So they would take the minimum. And also, you always have, at St. Louis University, every student has an academical advisor. So this advisor will give you an ideas what you need to do to be able to graduate in 4 years. It's 4 years or 8 semesters. So there is a minimum requirement of classes you can take. I always recommend them take less classes in the beginning to get used to the environment, to adjust, and then you can always get more classes. Typically, you need to take about 5 classes each semester to be able to graduate. It's the way it works here. It's in US. It's basically each class has a certain amount of credits, and to graduate you need 90 credits. So you need basically to do about 30 credits. 120 credits. So you need to do 15 each semester to graduate. But again, we try to help from experience. It also depends what major you choose. There are difficult majors, there are a little bit easier majors that you can study, but you have to balance. Like you have to, if you go to a tournament, for example, Aryan was gone for 2 weeks in Samarkand, so we gave him a letter of absence that he took to his professor, say he's going to this tournament, and they excused him for the absence, but then he has to catch up with the schoolwork. Now that he's back, he's working really hard to catch up, but he wouldn't have a problem. He's a good student, so the next few weeks he will catch up what he missed, and then should become. But usually the university is understanding that these professional players have to play in tournaments to maintain their form and their scholarship.
Okay, maybe we can proceed with the game that you wanted to show. And maybe a little bit later we have more answers, and as well Matthew will be joining us, I think, pretty soon.
So let me share my screen with you. So I will show this game. Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can. By the way, for the information of the audience, recently in Samarkand at the Grand Swiss, Nicholas, he won the world champion, Gukesh. Just for the information.
Yes, yeah. Nicholas is our, we can say now that he's one of the very top students that graduated from our program. Probably at the moment he is the highest rated player, so he's doing quite well. And so this is the game. A little bit of a background about this game. So Nicholas is playing Benjamin Gladura, strong player from Hungary, and he was representing Webster University, which is our. They're also based in St. Louis, so we compete against them. So we're friends with them, but we also compete with them. So D4, D5, and now C4 played. At the moment, we're basically tied with Webster, and this is the last match. Each team has 4 players, so if we win this match, we're the champions. So at the moment, Gladura is higher ranked than Nicholas, but Nicholas was playing quite well, so we had some really good hopes for him. So we have the Slav defense, and he chose to play the exchange variation by taking on d5. Now we play knight f3, knight f6. So the first few moves are simple. It's a symmetrical position. Bishop f4, bishop f5. And now, right away, Nicholas is, very well prepared in openings, always analyzing with engine and trying to come up with some new ideas. So his idea was, the typical move is e3, then usually black plays e6, and it's lots of theory, it's an equal position. Another alternative is rook c1 here you can play. Also leads to more or less equal position. But this knight e5 is a newer idea, trying to create imbalance early on and try to surprise Grandmaster Gladura. Now black played e6, and now queen b3. A very concrete move. Queen is coming to b3, and now is putting pressure now on b7. So black needs to try to defend this pawn. It's not so easy. So he just decides to play the move queen b6. For example, if you play the typical move rook p8, that's not good because knight takes c6, attacking the queen. You take back, and now after queen b8, you're losing your rook. So that's why it's not going to work. So he played a move queen b6. And now we enter to an endgame. When the queens come off the board, now we enter the endgame. Takes back, e3. And I like this endgame for white. White is slightly better because black has weaker pawns here on b6 and b7. So those double pawns are weaker, so that's why we have an advantage here for white. Now he plays knight d7. The knight is very annoying on e5. It's very strong, so he's trying to play the move knight d7 to move this knight from e5. Now g4. Another top move here by Teodoro, aggressive move here, attacking the bishop. So the question is now, what is the bishop going to go to? If you go to g6, maybe even h4 could be played to put pressure. So Gladura decides to eliminate the knight. Basically, the knight is very strong on e5. He wants to eliminate it. And the idea here, you have to take on f5, because if you take back with a pawn, this is a bad idea. You just lose the pawn on g4. So the whole idea is that now we're going to take the bishop. And now what we have is two bishops, okay? We have two bishops, and this is considered to have an advantage here. But black has an idea. Knight c4. He's not going to retreat. If you go back here, you're just in a much worse endgame after capture. Capture bishop h3, very strong move. Attacking on e6. If you go here, and now you run into this nice tactic. Knight takes d5, and you cannot take back. You lose on d7, so your black is in big, big trouble here. So that's why he has to play the move knight c4. And now he's attacking on b2. So this is a little bit tricky, how to protect this. If you play the move rook b1, then you can run into the move bishop b4. And it's not going to be very good. So Nicholas took the knight. Knight is very active. In general, when opponent pieces come into your position, they're trying to be active. You want to try to eliminate it. So bishop takes c4. Now it takes back on c4. Now it takes. And now we see some weaknesses here in a black's position. We see some double pawns here. The pawn on e6 is isolated. The pawn. So we see some weaknesses here. Okay. Now king e2, moving the king up. Now goes king d7. What black is trying to achieve here is somehow connect these pawns. If he does that, then he's going to be okay here. Now b3 played. Another good move here. The idea is to exchange these pawns, and if the exchange happens, so what's going to happen is these two pawns, they're not really worth that much because they're not going anywhere, so you can't really do much. And then in the meantime, white has this nice center of 3 pawns versus 1. So essentially, white is playing with the extra pawn in this position because there is no future for these b pawns. They're not going to go anywhere, and white can try to expand here, advance the center, and try to get a more advantage here. So b3 is a very interesting move, and now bishop b4. This is a good move for black, now trying to put pressure on the knight. So you don't have this move here if you're trying to protect. This is not going to be a good idea because black can simply capture here. And if you capture now, he can take on a1, rook takes a1, and you're losing the knight here. So that's why you cannot play the natural move here. So knight e4 comes in, activating the knight and moving it away from the danger. Now, rook f8. Very interesting move. You may think, wait a minute, what is the idea here? He can just simply take the pawn. But if you do, that is a mistake because now black has a nice tactic. Knight takes d4, check. Now, if the king moves, black can move the knight back as well. But if you take back after rook takes f4, black is doing fine here. Because now the bishop is gone, and there is some activity here as well. So black will be okay. So there is a threat now after this move of knight takes d4. So bishop g3 was played as a solid move, avoiding any tactics with knight d4. And it's very important when opponent creates a threat, you want to make a move that will solidify the position and take away that threat. And now white is ready to take on c4. He goes b5, rook h, c1. Putting pressure now on c4, now ready to take twice. Again, we're trying to force him to take on b3. If he takes on b3, then this is a very comfortable advantage now for white. Once again, the reason is these b pawns are not going anywhere. So after bishop g3, b5, rook c1, bishop a3 played. Now putting pressure on the rook, and you cannot play this move because you're going to run into the bishop b2. So he played rook cb1, Teodoro, because if you go here, this is also not very good because you're going to run into this move. Knight b2 check, putting pressure on the rook. So that's why he plays here rook cb1. And now the idea here is simply to capture and then try to get the rook into the game here. So if you take on b3, again, you're worse. So position is getting a little bit critical here. And Grandmaster Glendura decided to play the move knight b4. He's going for a very concrete idea. He's basically hoping that this knight c2, knight a1 is going to work here. And perhaps he was expecting that white will play like a defensive move, like maybe a king d2 or something. But that's not what Nicholas had in mind after the move knight b4. After move knight b4, he calculated it and came up with a very strong idea here. B takes c4. Now opening up the b file, knight c2. If you take now with this, then it's a problem, bishop d6. Okay, putting pressure. And now if you move the rook, you're simply going to lose the knight on b4. So he goes knight c2, activating the knight, and now the rook is trapped. And this is where Nicholas played very, very nicely. He sacrificed the whole rook. It's not often you see people give up the rook in an endgame, but that's exactly what he's doing. He's giving up the rook in this critical match for our team. He takes. Now rook b7 check. King goes here. And now he's down a rook for only 3 pawns, but position is very strong. Now check. King goes to b6. The reason he played king c6 because if you go to the background, it's going to be very, very bad for the king to be here, because you can actually very easily get mated here. So that's why he decided to go here. Check. And now c5 check. King b5. And now he wants to escape with a knight to c2, and now he played a great move king d3. Not only this move now stops the knight from coming out, and also controls the c4 square, giving some mating ideas like knight c3. The king is in really, really big trouble here. So bishop b4 is played. The idea is to control this square, and also now threatening to play some rook a3 check and pick up the pawn. So it's very important not to allow this rook to come into the game. That's why we give a check. Now, if you go back to c6, you're losing the bishop. So he played king to a4, trying to protect the bishop. But again, the knight is trapped. That's a good news for us. And now, since the knight cannot come out, that's really important. We're only down an exchange, we can say, because this knight is on the corner of the board. So here he decides to play a very good move, c6. And we know the rule that you have a pass pawn, you want to try to advance that pass pawn, okay? More you advance that pass pawn, stronger it's going to get. Now he wants to go to c7 to try to promote. Now he goes here. c7. And again, you cannot take this pawn even because your bishop is hanging. So we're now just making progress here. Now it goes rook fc8. And now bishop d6. This is a strong move now, exchanging the bishops. If takes, we go knight d6, now putting pressure on c8. Now it goes rook a4. It's very difficult to do anything else if you capture knight d6, and you have to move the rook, for example. And also there is a chance your king will simply be in trouble here as well. Knight c4 is coming, and you have to go there because if you take on a2, simply get mated here. And if you go here, you can start with the move rook b1, simply picking up the knight, and then put the knight on d6 and promote. So this will be quite easily winning for white. So after bishop d6, he played rook to a4, and now rook b8, trying to exchange the rooks. And if they capture, pawn will take back, promote into a queen. So the idea just to promote this pawn into a queen. You cannot even go back now because I can simply take on before with a check. Bishop d6. Rook takes c8. Now attacking the bishop. Bishop h2. And now f4. Because at some point black might be able to sacrifice here, so f4 is a very strong move to simply shut down the bishop, and now ready to move the rook away and promote the pawn into a queen. So the only move is now to go here. So if you move the rook, then you can take the pawn, but now knight d6 is very strong. Knight d6 is threatening to play the move knight b5 check and win the rook. So you decide to take the pawn here. Knight b5, and now if you move the rook to b7, rook a check goes away, and then you promote the pawn into a queen. And after this, black simply resigned, because if he moves the rook, let's say somewhere here, then you can even play this move and promote. So very important that you have the pawn on f4 shutting down this bishop, so you cannot take on c7. So after the move, knight d6, knight b5, Gledura resigned here because his best move is actually to give up the rook, but then you just take, and you just take g7, h7, and you're up exchange and winning. So he resigned, and the other three games, I think they were tied, and then we end up winning the match and the championship. So it was a big win. I can say the biggest win for our team, because critical win against a top opponent brought us the trophy and the championship for the university. So very happy to present you this game of Grandmaster Teodoro.
Thank you, Varuzhan. Okay, the question, has Matthew already with us? Okay,
let's take a look.
I have a few questions for you, but maybe I will ask them after Matthew introduces himself.
I think Matthew is here. Maybe he can introduce himself.
Matthew, hi. Can you hear
Hello.
us?
Yep.
Yeah, he's there. Yeah. Ma-
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Matthew.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, hello, how are you?
Sure. I'm Matthew Pikus. I've been a SLU student since 2023. I happen to play chess, but my responsibilities with the SLU chess program have been I've worked with VAR and assisting him with the SLU chess program for the last 2 years. A lot of administrative stuff. I've also been fortunate that with VAR, we've been able to expand the SLU chess program with a non-scholarship team as well, and that's something that I run primarily. So we have, if you think of the A and B teams as being the full scholarship open and female teams, we have a C team that I run that is all low masters um, that also represents SLU. And that's something that I put a lot of effort into as well.
Okay, so can you tell a little bit about your experience, about, let's say, maybe your responsibilities? How's the life of the students who get this scholarship? Uh, how it's going?
Of course. So I can first say about my experience that not on scholarship, but um, um, the life at SLU, it's obviously very pleasant, and St. Louis is probably the prime place to be in the United States for chess. So there's always ample opportunities. As maybe I can speak more about um, having helped with administrative stuff. So given that we book a lot of flights, we organize a lot of tournaments. We do a lot of it is right now. I think we're VAR is focusing on recruitment to replace some players, and so those are kind of the current tasks. Um, as for life for the other students, it really depends. A lot of the scholarship players, you get a totally different range of personalities. You have some players who are very, they adapt very quickly. They like people, they talk to people. It also helps if they are, um, um, you could say like we have Central American players or people who have been in the United States before, and it's very easy for them to adapt. They play tournaments here. Some people are quite shy. Um, I, c- I can give the example of we have Grandmaster Victor Gazik, and his reputation on the team is that people don't know whether he's alive or not. He's just someone who, he kind of keeps to himself. Very nice, but so it all depends. And I think VAR was very right when he said that it's a difficult situation to come to a new country and have to adapt, but people do. Um, and I think the team is a really good bonding experience for people outside of their country, that they get to talk with people that they might know or have a shared interest, and helps them adapt to the United States. If that's, I hope I answered your question, unless you were looking
Yes,
for
you
something
did.
else.
Yes, you did. And the next question would be, do you feel do the guys who come and get this scholarship, I mean, they're teammates, but do you feel this? Do they have this competition between themselves, not only in chess
Uh,
but also academically? Does it affect maybe
no,
something or no?
no, there's really no rivalries between anyone, at least since I've been here. My belief is everyone has pretty much gotten along. And it makes sense. Collegiate chess is a team sport. Individually, they all have their own tournaments that they play, and I'm sure that you know, if some of the SLU players had to play each other at a World Cup or a Grand Swiss, you would see some very competitive spirit. But when it comes to collegiate chess, you're on the team, you want everyone to do well because you're representing SLU, and if one person fails, then it hurts the whole team. So everyone's working well. And in terms of academics, I don't think I've so one, I do want to stress this. VAR had understated how brilliant Theodore was. I think he did like a double major in physics and math, and then went on to go do a PhD. Like a genius, but it's never really a rivalry. I think half of them help each other. They do like. if someone's struggling in class, someone else will help them. And there's also it's also dependent on the people. So, for instance, with the open team, the A team, you have a lot of different majors, and so there's not really a big overlap. There's also, if someone's doing psychology and someone's doing business, there's not really competitive spirit. But a lot of the I would say the female players, they tend to not only major in something similar. I think a lot of psychology or similar stuff, but they also help each other. So it's a pretty good team environment, and there's not really a lot of competitiveness amongst each other. I mean, we're all trying to help SLU.
Very nice. And maybe this question would be to you and also to Varuzhan. Are there, when they come first time to St. Louis, do you have like some events when they meet each other? Maybe you show the campus, the club. How it's all happening when the students, like, yes, they got to the university, you came. What's next? How it's happening? How do you introduce their new life, let's say, to them?
Well, there are two ways. Sometimes they just arrive and they study, but sometimes we have people come for a tournament because St. Louis Chess Club organizes a lot of tournaments. Like if they're strong grandmasters, they get invited to this tournament. When they arrive to St. Louis for the tournament, when they have a rest day, I usually bring them to the university to show them the chess room where we do our training, show them the campus, and to do a tour so they can see the environment. And that way they have an idea where they will be living, how they're going to be training for the next 4 years. So they have a better idea. So I always encourage that. If possible, we do that. If not, they just arrive to St. Louis, and of course I pick them up. I help them, settle into their apartment. If they need to buy some things, I'm there to help. So we try to be as welcome as possible, me and Matthew, and help them with the first things they need. And everybody's a little bit different, but we just try to help them settle in to they get a really nice housing where they're going to be living in, and very good conditions. It's the newer accommodations, and everything is at the university where they can go have a meal. Everything is just in walking distance. So, but in the beginning, yes, if they're brand new, they've never been to St. Louis, so we try to be accommodated to tell them this is how you do things. This is where you get your bank, open up a bank account. This is where you go for your groceries and other things.
And do you have like events? Yes, sorry, Matthew, please.
Sorry. I was only going to add that apart from settling in, a lot of the new players will play tournaments at the St. Louis Chess Club. And it's probably, in my opinion, it's one of the best ways for them to adapt to St. Louis because people get along with other chess players. And that's been a very common occurrence, that not only do they move in, but it's been very smart for them to see the surrounding area, not just on campus, but through chess as well. And there's, I will say, as like an American who grew up in the Midwest, like around the area, we're very proud still that none of the new SLU GMs have been able to win the monthly classical tournaments at the club. As far I could be aware, it's always some national master always takes them down. But that's just me being prideful. But anyways, continue.
Okay, and do I have seen in social media like St. Louis Chess Club, maybe also from the university social media pages. Do you have some side events for the ones who have scholarships? Like, I don't know, some gala dinners or something like that.
Yes, we have a yearly gala dinner. This is a big fundraiser for the St. Louis Chess Club, and in fact, we went to that about a month ago. We all were there, Matthew and all the scholarship students, myself, our assistant coach. So we usually have the table reserved for the St. Louis University. It's a very special event. Actually, the president of the university attended. Every year they attend, the St. Louis University president. And there is a close connection between the St. Louis Chess Club and the St. Louis University. St. Louis Chess Club founder, Mr. Rex Sinkfield, he actually went to the St. Louis University to get his undergrad. So there's a big connection he has connection to the university because this is the school he attended to get his education.
Very nice. And this will be a question into like a little bit another direction. Is somehow FIDE involved in all of this?
No, FIDE is not involved into like the program or anything we do. Once in a while, we have some of the dignitaries. They visit St. Louis, and to see the tournaments and just to visit St. Louis Chess Club. So we've had some of the higher officials come to St. Louis to visit, but nothing with the university. And we're hoping maybe one day to have like the big FIDE events as well in St. Louis. Maybe even like a world championship or something if there is a candidate, because St. Louis is really the big center of chess for US. So we have all the top players living in St. Louis: Fabiano Caruana, Levon Aronian, Lenier Dominguez. All these players, they live in St. Louis, very close where the chess club is. So we would love to see maybe some events as well in the future, that official FIDE events as well in St. Louis.
As I know from my information that chess scholarship is not only is available not only in St. Louis University but as well Webster University, Missouri, and I have heard that they had something in Chicago, but I'm not sure about that one. For example, when you have the list of the candidates and you choose 3 out of 5, and for example the last 2 that are left, is it possible that you somehow these 2 coordinate to these 2 other universities? Are you somehow cooperating?
We don't really. The way it works is most people, if let's say the grandmasters, they want to attend right to a university, they know that these are the in St. Louis there's 3 universities. So Columbia, it's not in St. Louis, about 2 hours away. So they communicate with everyone and they try to see, which one is going to work out better for them. You do also have another 3 universities in Texas that offer scholarships. So Texas Tech, and the director of that program is a good friend of mine, Alex Onishchuk. So he's the head coach there. And then we have Grandmaster Julio Sadora from Dallas, and then Grandmaster Bartek Machea. He's in University of Brownsville, Texas. And so basically you have these 3 universities in Texas and you have the 3 in Missouri. We don't really coordinate. We interview. Sometimes we interview the same players, and then they choose to go to Mizzou and they choose to come here. So it's sometimes one student will go there. He thinks it's a better fit there. Another one will come to St. Louis. But usually it's a little bit of a competition. I have to be honest. We try to get the same players, and whoever can offer better conditions and it's a better environment, that's where the players choose to. At the end of the day, the players choose where to go to. Again, if you are 2,600 players, you're going to get a better scholarship than a 2,500 player, for example. So there are differences. So in your scholarship, probably the same, but you get maybe more stipend. So you can ask for some extra things if your rating is over 2,600, and you might be given that. So, there is a little competition when it comes to recruiting.
I could shed some more light as well. So there is so 2 things on the collegiate chess. So one, there is still technically the University of Maryland, UMBC, and their chess programs still exist. As for your question on, you mentioned Chicago, that you could be referring to 2 things there. One is my friend Jonathan Silverstein, he runs the Chicago Chess Center, and they were trying to give chess scholarships, but not a lot of money. And then what you're probably referring to is the University of Chicago had a really strong chess team. But funnily enough about that was purely by accident. They had a Wonder Liang, who I think is top 30 in the world now, Praveen Balakrishnan, Kapil Chandran, and I forget the other player, but University of Chicago just by accident had one of the best chess teams in collegiate chess. But I would like to say one thing, which is there is I've seen it firsthand when it comes to the competitiveness of getting players for collegiate chess. However, we talk about academics in chess a lot, and St. Louis University's academic reputation is a big reason why we kind of had a leg up in the past when it comes to getting players, because I don't, like, all universities are quite good. However, St. Louis University is definitely a step up in terms of the quality of education and the academic reputation. And I think that's really enticing to a lot of people who, when they come to the United States, they don't want to come to a random university. They would like to make sure they're getting the best possible education they can while they're here. And I think of all the teams, of all the schools that offer, collegiate chess programs, St. Louis University is, I think, is just a little above academically. Texas Tech is quite good, but that's for very specialized degrees. They're very STEM, science, and math oriented, but even that, SLU might be good for them. Anyways, just wanted to add that.
Hello, thank you so much for the all information, and I have a questions. From the very beginning, you mentioned that there are some mandatory requirements regarding sport part. It's to be a grandmaster and to have a rating like 25 and 20, if I'm not mistaken. But let's say if we have students and kids with ratings 2300 and the international masters and so on, if there are any exceptions in that cases, maybe then you need to be aware, I don't know, to be concentrated on something else to add to your sport part, and what actually are your guidelines for such kind of, let's say, chess players with such rating who still really would like, to get stipend, but they maybe have not enough high rating.
Yeah, thank you for your question. Yeah, we get a lot of inquiries like that, and we try to answer them, and myself and Matthew is aware of that. We get a lot of emails from players. They're asking for a scholarship information, but they're not grandmaster, the rating is not high. Unfortunately, the chess scholarship, again, we have limited spots, and it's given for the players who meet the criteria of having that rating. But in that case, what we tell the students, say, you should still apply. We still will help you. We can give you a recommendation letter. You might be able to get like a really good scholarship from the St. Louis University by itself, which will cover most of your education. If you're exceptional students, you might even get a full academical scholarship. It's very, very hard, but you might get. But I know that the foreign students from other countries, most of our students who applied, they got some type of scholarship, and we still encourage them to apply, but we tell them, if you are close and maybe you can cross and meet the criteria, we might be able to give you the chess scholarship. But if you're like, let's say, 200-300 points away, it's not realistic for you to, gain that in 1 or 2 years. But you should still apply and see what scholarship you get, and then you still have a decision. You can still say no if you want to go somewhere else, or if you're not sure. But you can still have an opportunity to at least have that letter that says, congratulations, you have been admitted, and then you can think about whether or not you want to choose the university or not. You still, at the end of the day, have a choice to decide if you're going to attend. Those students will still get the training. Sometimes we can cover their expenses for tournaments, local tournaments. We have a lot of students, we pay for their entry fees. We try to help them. Sometimes they can join the trainings as well. We try to help them. Even if they don't get the chess scholarship, we try to be accommodative. We sometimes organize tournaments. We invite them. We pay for their local tournaments. Sometimes we even pay for outside tournaments for them as well in US. But if you want to get the chess scholarship and the stipend, you do have to meet that the title and the criteria.
Okay, thank you so much. But let me just a little bit change my questions. And let's say I'm 17 years old. I am not too much strong chess player, but I really would like to get a scholarship in the United States. So, and here are parents and some future students of US chess, and we had to know some secrets and maybe insights. What I should do maybe additionally okay, I'm like 200, yes, chess players. I'm not outstanding, but I have some achievements maybe in my regional level, yeah, and I would like to get scholarship. Maybe not in St. Louis, but maybe you can, give us some tips and advices what should be done, and maybe we need to pay attention to something else. So any secrets, please, which help me to get a stipend?
Yeah, of course. So most likely you will get you can get some scholarship at some other universities. That I know in Texas, they offer some scholarships for the other low-rated students. They have a different way their program is run. I don't know how exactly it's run, but I think Texas Tech and I believe UT Dallas, they have some type of scholarship perhaps you can get. So maybe Matthew might know a little bit more about it because he has friends. Maybe Matthew, you can explain a little bit how the players who are not quite there, let's say they're 2,000, 2,100, how they can try. Maybe you can explain that a little bit. Mm-hmm.
So you thanks because I was ready to talk about this. So first, I will preface this by saying, after working with VAR for 2 years and seeing collegiate chess, I will try to give as many secrets as possible about how to take advantage of stuff. So the first thing is, I would say I'm going to use your situation and give you like serious advice of like what I would do if you have a 17-year-old, 2,100, 2,200, 2,000 FIDE, and they really want to go study in the United States. So the first thing is I would look at Texas Tech for sure. Texas Tech, run by Alexander Onashik, they start their scholarships at 1,600 USCF, which maybe would be the equivalent of like 1,400 FIDE. That's where their scholarships start. It starts, I think, at like 1,000 or 2,000 a year, and then it scales up the more rating you go. And Texas Tech has the big benefit that Alexander Onashik is a very serious grandmaster in the sense that, I mean, I put of course Var Varuzhan in this category as well. But Onashik has this reputation of he doesn't care whether you're a GM or 1,600, he will sit down with you for an hour and train you. So there are many stories where some master at Texas Tech, he's like, I know my end games, and Onashik basically tells him, maybe cusses at him and then tells him to prove it. University of Texas at Dallas is also a very good one, and they have a very deep program, meaning I think they must be the largest program in collegiate chess, and they offer scholarships, I think similar, like 1,600 USCF or 1,500 FIDE, and they go through the whole category. Now, if you're looking for a full chess scholarship, the best program to try, because they have done this in the past with players around that rating, FIDE International, like 2,000, 2,100 FIDE, is the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, UMBC. It's one of the lesser known chess programs, but I think it's the oldest chess program in the United States. Mm-hmm. And they were offering full chess scholarships to even people my strength. If I remember when I first started playing, the guy on board 4 was my strength, and he was on a full ride. And usually their strength of players is around 2,000 to 2,400 FIDE. A very strong team, but not really GM. And they offer full scholarships. The University of Maryland's a fine school. I would also talk a little bit about the SLU chess program. It should be noted that, like, maybe I should give a little more clarification. We do have players at SLU who are not on full scholarship, but for one way or the other receive a stipend, a little bit of money. They do get some flights, they do get some tournaments, and I think what's most valuable is having the personal instruction from VAR in coaching, as well as Grandmaster Darius Schwiertz. I think that's indispensable and one of the international masters is like 2,300 FIDE, and that kind of free coaching by two very strong, top players in the United States is, I think, worth its weight in gold. And it should be noted, not that exceptions have been made in the past, but very exceptional, like very crazy exceptions. For instance, both Nicholas Theodorou and Robbie Kevlishvili, both grandmasters now, they came to SLU as IMs. So it wasn't GMs at the time, but I think they were showing incredible promise. And so I think the guide, Var, you can correct me if I'm wrong. The 25-20 is a guideline, just so that it makes things easy for us. But at the same time, you're very holistic. You do look at the whole player before you
Yeah,
make a
so
determination.
could be like, if somebody we see, like in Theodorus' case, he was 17 years old, he was close to 2,500, so we knew that this guy is going to be a grandmaster in no time, and he's a very promising player. So the full scholarship was offered to him. Same thing with Robbie. When he joined SLU, he was Robbie Kevlishvili from Netherlands. He was rated around, I think, 2470, but he was, very young, 18, 17 years old. And we knew that if somebody is so close, he's going to try to make it, But once again, there is a limited spots that we have. If we are full, we're going to have to wait for a spot to open up to be able to offer. We cannot go beyond the 10 full scholarship spots. But there's always people, like I mentioned, in this job, always people graduate. There's always going to be some spots opening up. So if you're a serious candidate, we will be, discussing with you. We're going to give you all the best options, the advice we can, and guide you through it. What we do, myself and Matthew, we try to help them with the process, even the application. If they have questions, we try to be as accommodative, and we have also good support from university to try to help, to make sure the application is reviewed timely and they get their decision, because there's still work to do after you get admitted. It's not easy. You still have to get your appointment, to get your visa. So there is work to do. But we sometimes can make some exceptions. If we have a spot and we see a very talented player, we might, consider them for a scholarship, even if they're not a GM yet. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. And if I may, just really last question. Let's say I'm still young. I'm 17 years old. I'm 19 or 20, 100, yes. But I could imagine that it will be 100 students with the same, FIDE rating who will apply in some other university, because you already mentioned some other university where I still can try to apply. But I do understand that I'm just like ordinary, and there is no really big difference between me and other candidates. And then I guess university will pay attention to my motivation letter and my CV. And I think I would start my preparation like 1 or 2 years before, yeah? So what you can advise, what I should mention in my CV, what should be done 2 years before? Should I come and participate in some event, or I don't know, should I make interview or something like that? Because, like, as I say, how I can be really visible for the commission in case I choose some of universities that you mentioned, and I really badly would like, to go to US university. Just your guidelines based on your experience, and because you are inside of the university, and I guess you know what exactly university and commissions are looking for when they would like to get, students for stipend. I'm not talking about chess stipend in St. Louis, but about other universities.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. Yeah, or Matthew, go ahead. You take that. Yeah.
I was going to say that, and then you can add or correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's 3 very important things to have on your CV, no matter where you apply for collegiate chess, obviously not just St. Louis. One is English proficiency is incredibly important. Not only is English proficiency required for universities, but this has been probably the biggest reason why someone does not get accepted into a collegiate chess program. Their English scores, they're not fluent enough to take classes, and this has been happening both at University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. We have had, I think, similar problems at SLU, and across the collegiate chess program. The second thing I would also say is show a willingness to study. This is not to say that you should be not focusing on chess. I think Var mentioned earlier that there are some people who try to take advantage of it, and you should focus on both. But it should be noted that you should be serious about your academics as well. That I think what a lot of actually, I'm going to paraphrase this. I think what a lot of chess programs, one, it's not a commission. It's really just the coaches making the determination. So you're trying to impress the coaches. And I think what a lot of coaches want to hear is not, your trillion accomplishments or that. It's good. But I think what a lot of coaches want to hear is, are you going to create problems when you get to the university? Meaning, are you going to have problems with your classes? Are you someone who parties too much and doesn't get along with people? Are you someone who not a good team player? Are you someone who even has a lot of health problems and is going to cause scares? Are you someone who has a lot of commitments? I think what a very important thing to have is when you do apply and when you write your personal statement is you should try to address any concerns that might arise up based off of you personally. Because I think a coach is going to be very receptive to someone who, hey, this player is, within the rating range I'm okay with, and they're not going to create problems. I'm not going to have to worry about them. I'm not going to have to babysit them. I think that's a very important thing to have. And definitely that's been, VAR, maybe I'm saying too much and you can correct me, but I think that's been a determination where you've looked at players and sometimes it just feels like it's going to be too much of a hassle when they get to SLU and you don't know what happens. Maybe they might not do well and it might create problems down the road. And that's something that's taken into a lot of consideration. So I would say...
Yeah, I think, yeah, if sometimes we know, like this person, we know a little bit of background about him, a little bit of your reputation is very important. That's what we're trying to say. Even if you could be a grandmaster, and we think you're not going to be a good fit for us. That we had some instances where we had to turn down a few people because we just thought it's going to be the more a problem in the long run. So that's why we try to make sure. But to answer more specifically, if you are, again, you're not there with your rating, but you play chess, that's a big accomplishment. You should definitely put in your resume that you're a chess player, and that's associated like you being smart. That's how they look at it. But the specifically, we don't know because the admissions office is a different committee who looks at your application. That's there. They go through this lots of applications, and that they make the decision whether or not to be admitted. So, but yeah, you might have a lot of competition, but again, you will stand out by saying you're a chess master. You don't have to be a grandmaster. You're a chess master. That's going to say, okay, this person is intelligent and will give you a chance to be admitted.
I see. More chess lessons, more English lessons, and less parties.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for the question. I have one question. Varuzhan, you mentioned about, let's say, all the things you get when you get the scholarship. Is there only the option to get, let's say, full scholarship? As you said, you get accommodation, your studies are paid, you get some stipend. Is there, let's say,
partial?
Yes, partial.
Yeah. At the moment, we don't. We give like maybe one or two players a small partial scholarship, but let's say they have to be an international master, or we do help a little bit, but we don't have, let's say, spots where we're going to give 5 people a partial scholarship. We do help our C team, which Matthew is in charge of. He's the coordinator, so they get a little bit of scholarship as well to pay for tournaments. We have few players, we give them a little bit of scholarship as well towards their education, the cost, and some traveling. So we do that. But normally, like, we don't have like allocated, like 5 spots for a partial. Maybe we'll do like 1 or 2 people. Like right now, we have 1 international master. He's our backup player, so we give him a little scholarship, and we have a female player on the team that she's not a WGM or IM or the rating, but she's our 4th player, so we give her a little bit of chess scholarship as well. It depends of our team needs,
Thank you. We have one more question from the audience.
Hi, I would like to ask, is there any tendency or correlation between students' faculty, major, or scholars come from any faculties?
No, basically, students, they choose what they want to study. St. Louis University provides them with many different choices, what you want to study. Most people, it seems like they do a lot of finance. We have computer science, and psychology is very popular. But you have a big option of what you can choose to study here. Once you admit it, You have a choice to decide what you would like to study, and there are some general classes you take in the beginning as well, and then you choose your major you want to go with for your undergrad.
Matthew, what are you studying in your case?
Matthew?
Oh, I'm studying biochemistry. I'm trying to go up to medical school after this.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Does anyone have any more questions?
Question, have you seen any obstacles from the US government side having more restrictive visa policies, etc. from this year on? Are there any differences in the application processes? Have you seen something like this? And secondly, may I ask two questions?
Yes, yes.
And secondly, any differences whether I want to come for the BA, MA or PhD level? Because the younger you are, obviously, the lower is your possible FIDA rating, etc. So, are people coming more into St. Louis for just scholarship, like to master degree studies or PhD, or still the basic BA level entrance, and then they try to proceed in their academic career? Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. Yes, there was some, we had one difficulty. We had a grandmaster from India that was supposed to join our team for this August, but there was a delay. I don't know if it's related to, there's a little bit more difficulty now, but I think it was more the fact that there are so many applicants from India. So he wasn't able to schedule his appointment and time to join for this semester, but he's going to be joining the team in January for the spring semester, because now that he has his application interview scheduled. So once you have the interview, it should be more or less easy. You get all the documents from me and the university. You go in there and they give you your student visa. You have to have the student visa issued by the US government to be able to study in US. So we ran into a little bit of problem with this one player. We really wanted him to come, but it was a delay, so he's going to join us in January. But they're a little bit restricted, yeah. They're a little bit, you have to be, they even, I heard they even have to check your social media accounts to see what you post. If you post some things, the people who interview you. So you have to, there are more restrictions. And the second question was, I would say that probably about 80 to 90% of our students come for the undergrad program. They just start their education, but right now we have only one student who came for just a master's program, Grandmaster Victor Gazik. He did his undergrad in the University of UT Brownsville in Texas, and now he came here to SLU for the graduate program. But I would say most people, about 90%, come for their undergrad studies to St. Louis University for the chess. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Matthew, maybe you want to add something about this or no, or we can proceed to the final question.
I could only add that it's very rarely, it's very usually just undergraduate degrees. I'm only familiar, the only upper degree, so I've never seen any PhDs, and that's for probably a good reason. PhDs in the United States, I don't know, probably similar where else. PhDs, the university pays you to be there and take classes, so the chess scholarship wouldn't make a lot of sense there for PhDs. There's been, I think, 2 instances of medical school, although so Dorsa Derek Shani was an IM, went to SLU, got admitted to University of Missouri, their chess program, and she, I think for the first 2 years of her medical school, they were covering it because she was playing for Mizzou, University of Missouri. And I don't know if she was doing this under a chess scholarship, but it was like Nozima.
Nozima.
I
I remember.
Name,
I wasn't. She went to SLU, but I wasn't involved at that time with.
I know she became either a PhD or doctor right after, but I don't know if that was through the chess program. I think maybe she just went on her own. Actually, I think she just went
on her own. Yeah.
But yeah. So these are very rare instances, but they do happen, and it's something that should be encouraged, because if you're going to get a free education, I think it's good to take advantage of it and get the full go as far as you can. And usually the chess scholarships at any given university go for about 6 years. in a perfect world, you do 4 years of undergrad and then they'd cover a 2-year master's or half of medical school, which is still like $150,000 nowadays. So,
Thank you. And the final question, let's finalize the session with, let's say, question which maybe will inspire parents and coaches who are attending this. Could you share the most successful story of a player who came, studied there, and had good results academically and in chess? The one that outstands the most.
Outstands. I think I have to go with Nicholas Theodoro. I think he did the best as a student. I think he was an exceptional student, and now he graduated. He can find a pretty good job with his education. If he wanted to stay in US, he could get his residency and probably get a high-paying job. But he decided to go back to chess. He's playing professionally. And he always has the option. If he wants to come back in the future, he can do that. But I think I have to go with Nicholas Theodoro. He's 2650 now. And I was joking with him. I say, wait, you got all this rating and now you're graduating, you know? It will be hard to find a replacement, you know? But I think I will have to go with Theodoro. He was actually an exceptional student and also made a significant improvement while studying and doing 2 degrees. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And Matthew?
I also have to go with Nicholas Theodoro, only because one of the running jokes while I was at SLU and Nicholas Theodoro was we would have C-team discussions, and the conversation was always the same way, which is, man, I can't believe Nicholas Theodoro got good at chess, good at academics, and good looking. And so we were really mad that he got everything. Nicholas Theodoro I mean, that's a very top one, obviously.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Varuzhan, for all the insights and information that we got today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay.
And before we finish, thank you, everyone, for attending our masterclasses. This was our last one, organized by International School Chess Federation. Please follow up us on our social media accounts. Stay tuned for more events. And thank you, and have a good evening.